Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief. We are going at you live this morning from Dallas. Sorry for the no view of the skyline this morning. Just get a view of the double beds instead. And also my little girl has a game here not too soon, so we're going to take it through the open and then finish right after that. What we're going to talk about today is Alibaba. As you know, this weekend we got this big, huge fine. $2.75 billion for Alibaba. Some folks reached out with, is this a sell signal? Well, as you see from the market reaction this morning, it is not a sell signal. If anything, it's a buy signal, right? Similar to what happened with Luckin Coffee is once they get the fine, and in this case for Alibaba, it was an antitrust fine. Once the fine is now behind you, it now becomes a known. So albeit the fine was pretty big, i.e. starts with B as in billion, but they can now process it and plan for it and move on. And they've agreed to the settlement, said they're not going to challenge it. And, it represented, I think, 4% of their 2019 revenues. So all in all, they probably made more, honestly, from their antitrust practices than they're paying in this fine. So in that way, it's a win, ethics aside. But that's what we're dealing with this morning. Also, we got later news after that, similar but not exactly the same as Ant Financial, which is an arm of Alibaba. It's the financial arm, is going to be categorized as a financial holding company over there, which is a major headline this morning, which really means it's probably not going to IPO and spin off. So that really just makes Alibaba's stock, even stronger. It was up 8% over on the Chinese foreign exchange. It's up 6% here, and I do expect it to go higher. Other major news we have, you probably heard earlier about Microsoft buying Nuance, which is a voice recognition firm, one of the best out there. So all I hear when I see that is meaning I can talk and Microsoft Word can interpret it and make it perfect in a Word document. If you remember, I've been dealing with this stuff for the past 30 years. If you remember, like Dragon Naturally Speaking or Dragon something speaking, was trying to make that perfect, right? And now we all have voice recognition on our phones. It works to some extent, right? Getting better all the time, but not perfect by any means. So anyhow, Microsoft's buying them, going to be able to incorporate that in their entire suite of products and services. So that's pretty exciting. Also, we had Chairman Powell this weekend talk about how interest rates are going to stay low. That for some reason, that's a surprise every time he says that, even though he's been saying that for months. And he says it's going to stay low till 2023. Also, we have the Coinbase IPO this week. So a lot of exciting things out there to talk about this morning. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to a Monday morning, April 12th. Make sure you have your chat windows and your Q&A windows set up correctly. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything you hear this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, welcome to Monday. Going to have a good week this week. We are starting off with earnings, for which, remember, earnings season is a 6-week period. It starts this week with some of the big names out there. So that means a lot more stuff in motion based off of earnings releases, beats, misses, guides up, guides down. So it's a really active season coming up for us. And if you remember, we're on kind of a big upswing in the market. So we do expect earnings to, as a whole, be a lot better because of the, economy reopening, if you will. So that could mean the stock market rips higher this week. Even though the futures are in the red, I do expect today to be a green day and this really to be a green week. because of all the good news we're going to have out of the earnings. All right, our objectives out there: grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today, we're talking 100% about growing our money in Alibaba stock. I know it's sold off. We'll look at the chart. It was above 300 when I liked it, and it's down at 220. I still like it even more because it's cheaper. I did have some folks approach me about selling it this weekend. It's just like, hold on, wait for it. I know I've been saying that for a long time, all the way from like 300 down to 220. But I think Baba is back, and it's time to maybe pick up some more down here. That is all about growing your money. It is a high risk investment. I got that. If you don't believe, or if you hate China, or you think Joe Biden's going to take it to China tougher than Trump ever did, well, I disagree with you. But if you believe that, do not buy Alibaba. But however, if you believe what I'm thinking, then join me, buy some Alibaba, and watch it move higher. Their antitrust fine that we talked about is now complete, $2.7 billion, 4%, I think, of 2019 revenue. I mean, okay, similar to like Luck and Coffee when they paid their fine. You've got it, move on. That is really what we've got. Welcome to the late folks joining in. Here's the longs and shorts of the day into the chat. All right, our question of the day is going to be, what is a security? Which sounds like the dumbest question in the world, right? Well, clearly it's a stock or a bond. Well, I don't know. Then the question back to you is Bitcoin a security? Well, that's been talked about for a while. Well, who determines that? It's the SEC, and that's going to be our question of the day. And again, for the latecomers, we're going to wrap up a little bit after the market opens to get off to a volleyball match this morning. All right, our flow today: long, short, open, short, long. We're going to go with the market review around the world, what happened this weekend. Then we come back to the U.S. headline review, which again dominated largely by Powell, saying that rates are going to stay lower longer, which we already knew. If you keep forgetting that, check back every morning and I will tell you that. And what's going on in China with Alibaba and Ant Financial. All right, the long-term investments we're going to look at are BABA and KWEB. Again, KWEB being the ETF, which is a large holder of BABA. So they kind of trade the same. If you don't want individual stock risk, then take KWEB out there for exposure to all, if you want exposure to China. We'll do our short-term trades there in the chat room. We're looking at Alibaba long, some smaller names, GTech, SIG, and TSHA, as well as the short. There's GLSI, which is Greenwich Life Sciences, shorting down on some negative medical news. And then you also have Afria and Tilray have the merger, and some bloody headline came out about that, because one of them's down 10%, the other's down 8%. I don't know that that's a shortable situation, but you'd have to take a look at that yourself. GLSI is. So, all right, contingencies and academic resources are standard. Check out the website if you are interested. All right, over to Google Chrome. Bring this up here and take a look back at again, I'm on a single screen this morning, so that's always a challenge for me, not for you. All right, here we are where I want to be. CNBC.com, I'm going to refresh this, take a look at the futures. Again, hitting new records last week. We're down, fractionally, 0.21 is the most there on the NASDAQ. I'm not concerned. I think it's a green day once things get up and going, unless there's some, of course, crazy headline. But as far as what we know about the world economy's reopening, boom, earnings are going to be great, and we're off to the races. All right, let's take a look at the Pacific. Everything in the red is out in Asia. Europe is mixed and kind of light trading there. Here's our numbers from Friday. So pretty big move up with new records being hit. Over in the bond world, fractionally, the 10 years up, it's still holding below that 1.7, which is now kind of the new litmus test on all the people that are screaming inflation, hyperinflation. Oh my goodness, the world is falling. Let's join Chicken Little. Yeah, I would say as long as it holds 1.7, it is a completely non-starter. If it goes back north of 1.7, then we got to start talking about it again. Of course, if it's 1.8, that would be like a new 16-month high, and the headlines would explode, and all of the inflation people will be screaming. Until then, I don't buy it. All right, oil holding just above 60 there, a little bit out of our 40 to 60 range we like to see, but no big deal. Gold and silver are off a little bit, but still cheap in perspective to their normal areas. And then here's the headline I didn't talk about earlier in the open, but Bitcoin 60K. I remember somebody named Steve saying that it's going to hit 60K here really soon. That was me Friday. And yeah, here it is. So we're at 60K, and I think it's going higher. If you heard Jim Cramer this morning, unbelievably, somebody even older than I am. I know there's some young folks in the room that think I'm as old as the hills. He's older than me. but he's now saying he would accept his pay in Bitcoin. I would have lost a lot of money had somebody asked me if to bet on that, right? I'd be like, yeah, I'll take the never. That he would say that, and I would lose today because he just said it. And I heard it. I don't know. It's almost like I'm going to wake up and it'll be time to send out the email for the morning brief because I don't think that's real. But it did happen this morning. Would I accept my Bitcoin in my pay in Bitcoin? No, clients, do not pay me in Bitcoin. You can, we hold it, we invest in it, but I do not want paid in it. I will take dollars because that's what my electric company and water company and all the other people that I need to pay to keep my life going, they accept. So anyhow, let's stick with the dollar with me. But everybody else, gosh, go into Bitcoin, good on them. All right. So that was let's go back to the headlines here pre-market. So Bitcoin 60K finally here. All right. There's the Microsoft to buy Nuance Communications. Again, if you missed that earlier, that is arguably the best voice recognition software out there. So expect good things coming out of Microsoft. I would say more good things, right? They're on about a 3-decade kick of giving us good things. So kind of can't lose that. The nickname for Microsoft is Mr. Softy. Yeah, anyhow, if you have it, hold it. If you don't, it's generally too high to buy into. But all right, here's another headline here about Powell talking about highly unlikely the Fed will raise rates. So here's what you're going to see. This is my prediction: is the markets will scream higher based on the economy opening, aggressively, as all of us like rats out of the cage go out and spend all our money that we haven't been able to spend sitting at home. If you're in a situation like that, I know not everybody is. But even if you're not, even if you're in a disadvantaged situation, like maybe you lost your job, well, hopefully the economy are opening, now you have your job back, and at least maybe your problems are going to be lightened or eased, if you will. Either way, we're talking about, things trending better in a significant way, which means the economy is going to post some really good numbers. And if that happens, then people are going to say, hey, Fed, you need to raise rates to stop inflation. Well, inflation needs to be a problem before you stop it. So don't try to solve things that aren't a problem. And you could argue, yeah, they should get in front of it. No. Again, the case study for this is 2007 and 2009. Did we have inflation when we were dropping helicopter money onto the population and quantitative easing and all that? We just didn't. If we didn't then, what's different now? I've not heard a compelling conversation on what is different now. But it's going to dominate the headlines, so expect to hear more about it. All right, Coinbase Listing IPO. Okay, this is happening Wednesday. Again, if you want in on it, text me, emailing me, whatever. I'll get you in. I don't know how much I'm willing to pay for this thing. Palantir, I would have paid any price. I would have paid double, right? I said any price, but I necked that down to, okay, it opened at 10. I would not pay more than 20. Roblox, obviously, we made money on that. Not like Palantir where it doubled almost, within the first month and a half. But Roblox hadn't even traded that long, if my math is right. But this one, gosh, these folks are pretty greedy. If they price this up at $400 a share, the thing could actually bomb. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. There's one price target out there saying 440. That's why I threw out the 400 number. But think about it. If you want in on it, don't give me a price or a number of shares. You have to give me I want $5,000 worth of this, and I will get you the best deal I can. I mean, that's my job. Last time we thought Roblox was opening at 45. We based all our math off of that. I spent all morning redoing the spreadsheet to adopt the 64.50 price, which was obviously I have to re-enter all the tickets and everything to do that and adjust the number of shares so don't outspend your budget that you give me there. So expect Wednesday to be kind of busy and also fun because these things are exciting. Now, IPOs traditionally make a ton of money. There will be one that bombs. I hope it's not Coinbase, but if they misprice it, it certainly could be. All right, there's a Ant Group headline out there. We've already talked about that. Asia dominating chip making. There's a chip shortage out there and, not good, right? We have car companies shutting down because they can't get the chip. So it really does, it really tells you who is got the strong supply chains and who does not. And again, China may benefit from that. Masters is over. Great finish out there. All right. That is it. There's Alibaba's headline. Right, shares rise 6%. This is 5 hours ago. So we'll check on them here in a minute. But after the 2.8 billion anti-monopoly fine. All right. And again, all the press on the Chinese government cracking down on Alibaba is immediately going to come right back to Amazon as people take a look at Amazon and say, is that an antitrust? Well, remember, just because they own everything doesn't mean it's antitrust and monopoly. Excuse me. For our government to come in and crack down on something, they have to be capitalizing on that. I don't know. I pay pennies to have stuff delivered to my door within a day or two. I mean, that's like the best deal in the world. It's like, please, U.S. government, do not crack down on them for making my life so easy, right? But you never know. But anyhow, it could, of course, bring a lot of, scrutiny to the tech firms over here, which are largely Alibaba and Facebook and Google, if you will. Right, so here's the chart I was talking about in the open. I know up here at 300, I was saying buy, 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 and then watch ba, ba, ba go down, down, down. But we bounced off of 220 over here. I do remember getting in at, a little bit here, and then thought, okay, we're back off to the races, and then 270 down to 220. Yes, getting a lot of funny looks there for my belief in Baba and China and all of that. So I hear you. I got that. All I'm saying is now it's starting to turn. So again, this would be the time. If you don't have a whole bunch of Baba, you could add here, or just add KWeb if you don't want the individual stock name. So that's Alibaba's. When you look at forward PE 19, what Amazon's like 36. So I mean, it's really cheap relative to all things. Another thing we look at is the short float. Who's betting against Alibaba? Nobody, even after this huge fine, right? That's why I think we're going to see a pretty significant bounce. All right, let's take a look at KWeb real quick. China Internet ETF, not the same chart at all. So again, when you think of, are you safer in an ETF? Well, everybody says yes, and oh my gosh, I'm so safe. Well, it is made up of individual stocks, so I don't know. You put all the unsafe stuff into a bucket and call it safe. Yeah, basics of diversification, I guess. But again, don't get exposure to this if you don't want to take the ride. This thing got up to 105, and now it's down at 75. So quick math tells me, I don't know, that's what 35, 40% sell off. So yeah, that's painful. I got you. I hear you. I am not selling KWeb at all here. If anything, that's one of my default buys when I get new money, which happens every day. If I don't have something specific like Palantir, which I'm also loading up down here, if I don't have something specific to buy, KWeb is a name that I just love to put money into. Another name out there that we'll talk about since we have a few minutes is Tencent Holdings, which is a little more painful. Got to go to Yahoo Finance for Yahoo TCH. If I type that in quick. So here's we'll zoom this out. That's like a daily or something. Let's go to a 1-year chart. So that looks a little bit more like the KWeb chart, right? Where it peaked out here on, mid-February or so, and it's kind of been settling in since there. So again, if you like all things China, Tencent is a holding company. So you do get diversification within this particular single stock. But if you take that and Baba and IQ and Baidu and Pinduoduo, and all the fun names that are out there for China, just buy KWeb, and that way you own them all. All right, let's go ahead and get set up for our day trading. We're about a little over a minute out from the market open. So we're going to go over to the TD Ameritrade website. So you see 2 screens or 3 screens today. Normally you see 4. Get rid of my video here so we can focus on this. I normally see 4, but again, I'm on the road, so we're a bit technologically challenged here. There up in the upper left, you see we are 1 minute to the market open. Here you see SPY on the left. We're on a 1-minute chart. Again, not quite in the green for the day, but getting pretty close. Sold off, a little negativity going into the open here. Here's the big gap up here in Alibaba. So again, this was Friday's close, Friday evening up at 223. Down at 223, and opened up all the way as high as 239.68, kind of settled into 237 range. I think that's about 6% in quick math, so expecting that to go higher. Now, it may come in first, it may not scream higher, so we have to be real patient. And for a stop, I would say $3, $2. So consider that the stop math is going to be a little bit different than when you're trading a $10 stock. And then we have JLSI, which is Greenwich Life Sciences, selling off a little bit based off of negative news. So give me a second, we'll get the open. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. We're on the road, so you see three screens in front of you. We have 5 seconds to the market open. And there it is. Welcome to the new week. All right, we have the SPY over here to the left. Again, futures are in the red. You can see that 0.16%. And we're on a 1-minute chart. Alibaba had the big news from the fine that they got. We're taking that long today if you're interested. I will call that trade here. That's my favorite. Up 6% there. We're going to have to use probably a $3 stop. So get ready for that. Maybe we can tighten that up. Maybe we can't. We'll zoom in here. And then short, for those that are dying to short, not super in love with this trade, and it's challenged a little bit with some volume, and it's already out of our 5 to 10% window. But Greenwich Life Sciences had some warnings that came out of the AACR. That's a healthcare conference. So anyhow, some negative news out of that that's causing that to sell off, and again, much lower volume. All right, here we are looking for an entry on Alibaba. We have 237.60. I can't do that math. So we'll say 237.50 is our low of the day. So at a 250 stop, that would put us in at 240 if we are going to get the full R move. So you're thinking, oh, wow, that's not even on this chart. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But that's the kind of strength we want to see to be able to, and that's a 250 stop. So again, this thing can move because of the high price point. So we do want to give a nice fat stop. And if this one doesn't hold, which it just didn't, then we're going to recalculate it once it sells off for a little bit. In a perfect world, this will sell all the way down to 235. I would love it if it did that. Then we could take a nice trade long. Looking over at our short, it did peak out at 47.50-ish. We're on a 50-cent stop. So anyhow, 47.60. So 47.10 would be the entry. I don't know that anyone could be, you would have to be on your game to be able to take that and benefit from it. Most people would wait all the way down to here, 46.50. Anyhow, that'd be a heck of a move for that to continue down. Maybe it does. It's already at 15% down. All right, let's see where our new low is here. 236, call that 236.50. So 239 would be the new entry point. So we're just going to watch BABA for a second. I'm going to get rid of GLSI and look at AFRA and Tilray because they're both selling off and they're shorts. If you want to take the GLSI, you have to do that on your own. AFRA, again, their merger with Tilray is coming up. It's already sold off 12%. I would not touch it now. Can't be that bad. Tilray, expecting that to be close to 10%. Yeah, it's not a buy here either for Tilray, but certainly selling off there. All right, BABA appears to have it set. So we're looking at 239 as our entry. So 236.50 is our stop. So 239 is our entry. I just saw it hit. So we're going to draw 239 here. We are taking this long. This is a trade. Don't get confused with a long-term hold. Even there's definitely a long-term hold thesis in play as well. So 239, we're in our stop. I'm going to draw it at 236.6. It's really 236.5. So for hand jamming that in, it's a little bit lower than that, but I really don't think we're going to hit it. Obviously, I wouldn't take the trade if I thought we were going to hit it. So let's see if we can back out a little bit with my technology we have. I cannot. So we're kind of stuck on this chart, if you will. But in the trade at 239, don't take it here. If you were later, you missed it, just kind of wait for it to hit 239 again and then take the exact same trade going north. All right, back to the right screen. We got Tilray. We looked at the other short names. Let's look at some long names. G-Tech. Greenland Technologies, I'm not familiar with what they do. They were gapping up earlier, but they've moved down, so not much volume on G-Tech. Let's check out Signet Jewelers. Can't really imagine. I guess maybe part of the opening trade could be some jewelers, but that's probably an earnings or an upgrade. I did not take oh, sorry, they guided up. So they did have earnings and then they guided up. That's why they are gapping up. Not the strongest gap up, so would not touch it. TSHA, Tasha Gene Therapies, not familiar. It's a Chinese name though, up 8%. It was up 6% earlier. Again, super low volume. I would say that's probably mega high risk. Do some do your own due diligence before you act upon that. Okay, we are in the BABA trade. Again, it touched 39. So right now I'm the guy that bought at the high of the day. So that's not the guy you want to be, but we're risking 1R unit, 236.50 is the bottom there. So I'm going to switch over, see what's going on in the bigger markets, and then we'll check back on the trade here in a second. There's your BABA, almost top of the leaderboard, but I'd say top of the real leaderboard, because TQLB is Torque Brands, which we're in touch. And then we have GBTC, which is Bitcoin, up 4.7%. Luckin Coffee up 2.52%. So a lot of Chinese names on the move up there. Was hoping to see KWeb in this list here pretty quick. I don't see it. I thought I saw it. It's escaping my eyeballs right now, but that is okay. Let's check to see what is selling off out there today. MJ, let's take a look at that chart, because I think this is a buy right here, and it's down another 3%. So see what I can get over here at the edge of this chart. Maybe you saw all 4 screens earlier. I don't know. So 2160, I think this is a steal here. I just don't think it breaks back below 20. Again, no crystal ball. I could be wrong, but hopping into MJ and getting in on that theme now. Oh, I know what's selling off. It's artificial. It's the Afria-Tilray merger is bringing this name down. It's just like, what? Yeah. That put KWeb and MJ on your buy list, in my opinion. DraftKings selling off. Didn't see a headline for that, but I'm not too worried. Zoom, Neo, sees a lot of high flyers that are selling off a little bit. There's your KWeb. So that's kind of weird, right? So BABA's up 6%, and one of their top 5 holdings is up 6%, and the overall KWeb is down, 1%. So again, these trade on the open market. My favorite phrase is none of us is as dumb as all of us, and that appears to be the case of this morning. All right, let's take a check back to our trade. We're still in this trade. It's starting to get some love back. Maybe while I'm sitting here talking about it, it goes screaming higher. That would be nice. If you look at the market is basically, 7 minutes in now, almost into the 7th minute, and we are looking at, almost to even across the board. So at least 7 strong minutes, 1 little red candlestick there. Not too worried about that. All right, we're back to even with our trade. If you don't like it, you can kill it. I'm going to stay in it, but I am going to switch off the screen, so you have to monitor it on your own. All right, the last thing I'm going to talk about before we close out today, again, a little bit early, is what is the definition of a security? And, to be glib, I would say the definition is whatever the SEC says it is, which is, okay, not much of an answer. But honestly, that is true. So lead with that, right? It's whatever the SEC says it is, and then you can get back into, okay, well, what should it be? Fungible, yep. Negotiable financial instrument, holds some type of monetary value. So, stocks represent ownership, creditors or bonds, that sort of thing, and then they can trade, in either public or private markets. 3 types, you have equity, debt, and then hybrids. Hybrids are like preferred and convertibles, which I stay clear of that stuff, because it takes more time to explain it to a client than it's worth it for the extra return, right? So there's times to use those if those show up in your portfolio. I'm not going to give you more than about 60 seconds on what it is, other than, it's got the best of both, which sounds like a salesman pitch, but obviously if it ends up in your portfolio, I believe in it, and it's there for a reason. Okay. Let's see, understanding securities. There's a video if you want it. I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to look for, they have to trade on an exchange, primary market, secondary market. Private placement is where you get into the alternatives. So if you're thinking private equity, or if you're investing in a private company or a startup. Some folks are into an app startup that we're invested in. You can invest in movies. You can invest in farmland. There's a California almond thing that right now under farminvest.com that is taking money in, and they always have new properties coming up. There's really a lot of things you can do that count as securities. You just need to make sure that you know the risk going in, and any doubt, make sure to ask for it. So that's primary market. And then, of course, the secondary market is what is known as the stock market, where things trade openly. So again, if you're going primary, you have to be an accredited investor. And again, there's risk involved. Let's see what else they say. Residuals, yes, you can get residuals and derivatives, again, where you're not holding the direct stock itself, but some form of play on that stock or bond, which those are all considered securities as well. All right, hopefully, I guess I lost everybody there, but we will check back on our trade real quick, and then I'll close out for the day. Don't know if the recording will hold or not, but when you look at the trade, here we are, 239 was our entry point, 236.5 was our exit, so which means puts 240, and yeah, we're in the green here. It would have to get up to about 10% for us to be able to exit this positively. There's my connection unstable, so I'm going to quit for the day. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.